Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Riverfront Reds Show, where this is an all-star week edition. So I thought I'd bring in a little blast for the past for me and do a Redleg Roundtable. And here is Chris Hammond, former Cincinnati Red. Chris, thanks for joining me.
Oh, glad to be here.
Hey, so wanted to talk to you. I saw a few weeks ago, or maybe a week and a half ago, you posted a picture of yourself with Pete Rose, I assume at a spring training game. You're in a away Reds uniform. And you said things like that are what shows your daughter that you played baseball. So do you remember that picture? Like, it was obviously when Pete was still the manager, so it was before you made your debut. Do you remember when
Yeah,
that picture was taken?
it was sometime during spring training. My first big league camp. I mean, it was probably the most exciting year of my life.
Yeah.
And I don't remember a lot about it because it was like, nerves were like out of the roof.
I bet. Obviously, you didn't get to play for Pete as manager, but did you feel like you probably had to feel like his magnetism, right? Every time you were around him, right? He was just bigger than life back then.
I mean, unbelievable. I was just a blessing to be called up in big league camp with Pete Rose as a manager, and just to get to know him and to say he was my manager during spring training. And we were at one restaurant and the line was out the door, and we were like second from going in to getting our table, and all I hear is, "Hey, Hambone," and I'm thinking, that's Pete Rose. He goes, "How about a front break?" I'm thinking, what are you doing way back there anyway? But
That's funny.
I'll never forget that. But that was just a blessing to be able to be a part of Pete Rose's story.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it would have been better for him and for Reds fans had he maybe been able to continue. But the Reds did end up having a pretty quick reversal of fortune when they won the 1990 World Series. We'll get to that in a moment. So my research tells me you were born January 21st, 1966 in Atlanta. You attended Vestavia Hills High School in Alabama, though. Tell me a little bit about your upbringing and kind of living in the South and playing some baseball growing up.
Well, I was born in Atlanta. My dad got his job moved to Birmingham, and he took over the Birmingham area and selling insurance. And I grew up in Vestavia, and I always say the Vestavia, Hoover, Mount Brook, Homewood. I mean, that area right there is like the SEC of high school sports or growing
Right.
up. And we were like knee deep in sports and wherever we went. And it was just to me the best childhood because my mom was like the best sports mom that you could have, and my dad was traveling all the time, and he come home during the weekends and coach our teams,
Mm.
and he knew how to coach because he never yelled. That he was like the, I mean, just a great coach, and that's why I always use him as an example. Today's coaches is, just bring out the best in your players.
Right.
Let them want to be on your team and not like, man, my coach always yells, or he yells at me when I mess up during the game, and I'm just like, gosh. But it was just a great childhood growing up in Alabama and in the South, and uh and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you play other sports besides baseball?
I played mostly basketball and baseball. I played a lot of yard football. I tried football my seventh grade year, and I think one of the linemen blew out his knee
Mm.
during practice, and I told my dad I wanted to quit right then because I love basketball and baseball so much. And he goes, "You're going to finish the season out," and I go, "I got in the back of the line on everything. Don't put me in. I don't want to be part of anything."
Yeah.
And I made it through that season without getting hurt. And I go, "Football's not for me."
Yeah, I hear you. I
So
hear you. Well, it worked out for you in baseball. You were drafted by the Reds in the 6th round. Baseball Reference says the 1986 January draft. What was that like? Because you were at Gulf Coast State College at the time, I believe, in Panama City, Florida. And so you get drafted in January. Does that mean you don't play your season there for your college? How did that work
That's
back
right.
then with the draft in January?
Yeah, I didn't play during the spring. I just went. I couldn't wait to get out of college.
Yeah.
But that was the last. I think that was the last year of the January draft. And the crazy thing about it, I pitched. I played everything in high school, and then when I got a scholarship to go to UAB, Harry Walker was the manager, and he didn't pitch me.
Mm,
I played outfield, DH as a freshman. I love outfield. I love everything, but and then I didn't make my grades at UAB, so I went down to Gulf Coast Community College in Panama City, and they were like, first thing they saw that I was left-handed. He goes, and then you pitch, and I go, I love pitching. I didn't pitch at UAB, but I
right.
mean, I'll pitch if you want me to. So I started throwing some bullpens, and the pitching coach is like, "Oh, you're going to pitch." And then he had a friend who uh, he invited that he pitched for the Astros in Double-A, and he came over to help out a little bit, and he saw me pitch. And he had a friend that was a scout for the Reds, and he goes, "Hey, Chris Hammond is going to pitch against South Alabama in next week. I want you to come watch him pitch."
Sure.
And I pitched 8 innings, gave up 1 run, and after the game, he goes, "Wow," and he goes, I'm gonna talk to the Reds, and we might be drafting you."
Oh,
And
wow.
I mean, at the time, I was killing the ball, and then after the January draft, they called me up and they go, "Yeah, we draft you as a pitcher." I'm thinking, what? I pitched one game in college, and they drafted me as a pitcher.
Yeah, you could have been Shohei, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's so funny. I was rolling through those comments on that picture of you and Pete on Facebook, and the number of people who referenced you as a hitter, and even I guess with the Marlins, we'll talk about it a little bit later. But you pinch hit some as a pro too. That's pretty amazing.
Well, I think I pitched hit one time, and it wasn't when I hit the grand slam.
Okay. All right.
I get that so many times. "Oh, you hit a pinch hit grand slam?" I go, no, I was pitching that game.
All right. So but you got drafted as a pitcher. Now that's in January. Did you go straight into spring training then? How did that work?
I went down to extended spring training.
Uh-huh.
I guess after by the time I signed and everything, spring training was kind of wrapping up,
Mm-hmm.
and they had an extended spring training for all the January draft guys, and so it was just a late spring training, and then I got called up to Signal A probably 2 weeks after extended spring.
So that's like Plant City, and then you go and tell me a little bit about the minor league experience, and really, so like 86 you're drafted, and then you made your big league debut in 90. So you probably made stops throughout, and I know that Chattanooga and Nashville were stops, so you're still kind of relatively close to home as well.
No, it worked out perfect. My parents made a lot of my starts. I mean, I pitched every 5 days, and I mean, I went to Tampa, and then I went to Chattanooga, and then Nashville, and it was just, that's probably my most favorite years of my life, because I was getting paid to play baseball for the first few years, and I'm just like, this is a dream,
Mm-hmm.
and it was awesome because, I mean, it's not like it is today's time, because I mean, even in Single A, Double A, Triple A, every stadium is nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Back then, I mean, Single A was terrible. I mean, in
Yes.
Double A, just a little bit better, and Triple A was all right, but nothing compared to what they have today. I mean, and I liked it back then, because if you didn't like Single A, do something about it.
Right, right.
If you didn't like Double A, it's up to you. I mean, yeah, you don't want to stay in Single A and feel comfortable.
That's right.
They
That's
don't
right.
pay you enough to make a career out of playing in Single A.
When
So
I grew up going to if I went to a minor league game, it was Cooper Stadium in Columbus, and
yeah,
that was even as a fan, that wasn't the best place to be. So I totally see your point. They play in a relative palace now in downtown
But yeah.
Columbus at Huntington Park. What was it like though? Because now all of a sudden you made one college start as a pitcher. You had grown up kind of pitching as a youth player, I'm sure, but you kind of had to learn how to be a professional pitcher, kind of on the go, didn't you?
Well, I mean, I did and I didn't. I probably during my single A year, um, when coaches and scouts and other teammates and the teams I'm playing with, they started really coming up to me and they're like, "How do you throw your changeup?"
Okay.
And I'm thinking, "Well, I just throw it like this and I stomp my foot and they're like, "Man, I've never seen a pitch like that ever."
Yeah.
And so I build my pitching repertoire all around my changeup. I
Okay.
throw as many changeups as I can that guys know that they can't hit my changeup.
Sure.
And the reason it was so hard to hit because the hardest I could throw it was 72.
Wow.
Lowest I ever threw it was 57. So that's 4 or 5 pitches,
Yeah.
and they're all changeups. So you can sit on my changeup, and I throw it even slower than what I just threw it.
Hmm.
Even Jamie Moyer came up to me after one of our games, and then he goes, "All right, you threw a changeup tonight. It was 69. You threw the very next pitch. It was a changeup. It was 61.
Yeah.
How'd you do that?" And I told him, and he thought I was kidding. And I go, I'm dead serious. I mean, that's how I've been throwing it since I was 11. And I go, I'm just thankful that nobody showed me how to throw like a circle change or whatever. And so I built my I guess the way I faced each hitter is I want them to know that I'm going to throw a lot of changeups.
That's amazing. And, if you're living anywhere from 85 to 90 with a fastball, even that gap, that's just a huge gap. Even if you're at the 70, 72 mark, that's deceptive right there.
Oh, it was amazing, and it made pitching fun. And everybody's like, did you watch a lot of videos? I go, I've never watched one video. What am I going to watch?
Yeah.
There's not a person out there that throws a changeup like me. And I take my strengths and I go, my strengths will beat your hitting if I pitch right.
So do you just like when you were a kid, that's just how you started throwing it and that's where you went with it? It wasn't like,
Yeah. Our coach goes, hey, pitchers, we're just going to throw fastball changeup. And I'm thinking, how do you throw a changeup?
yeah.
And so I just figured you just kind of stomped your foot and then I pushed it almost like a knuckleball.
Right.
If you don't use these 2 fingers and just push it, it just comes out like a
Yeah, yeah. It's like a puff of air almost.
yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is really
It's
amazing.
crazy.
So, but you made your major league debut on July 16th, 1990. I'm a Reds fan who happened to be about 11 years old at that time. And for me, obviously, that's one of the main like memory seasons, right? So, what's it like then to be called up into that? Like, no pressure. Obviously, the wire to wire campaign. That was about the time, maybe a little later, that the Reds kind of had a bit of a they kind of hit a bump in the road, so to speak. A little after that, maybe. What was it like for you though to walk into that?
Well, it was almost like getting called up in the minor leagues and being on the big league spring training team with Pete Rose as your manager.
Yeah.
I mean, you were in first place. I mean, and the sad thing about it, and I hated it, I had to wait like 2 or 3 games because for me to get called up and make a spot on the big league roster, they had to get rid of Ken Griffey.
That's
I'm thinking, oh shoot,
right.
and I'm thinking, oh man, and but my first probably 2 big league starts, man, I mean, I was probably throwing in the low 90s because I was so amped up. I was walking guys, and then our pitching coach, after my second start, he goes, "Hey, you need to take a deep breath and pitch.
Sure.
You belong. Your fastball needs to be in the upper 80s, 88 max. Stay in between 87 and 88, and pitch. Get back to pitching." And I felt a lot more comfortable once. I mean, you understand where you're at,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard. It's hard being a major league pitcher.
Yeah, I would say. Was that Larry Rothschild? Is that the pitching coach?
No, Stan
Stan
Williams.
Williams. Yes, Stan Williams. Sorry.
Yeah, and but Larry Rothschild came probably I can't remember 91 or 92, and he made a really big impact on me as a pitcher.
Okay. Well, you appeared in 3 games in 90. You didn't appear in the postseason. I'm assuming you weren't on the postseason roster. Is that correct? No. But at the same time, you were part of a World Series winning campaign.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, describe that for me a little bit.
It was so awesome because just being a part of that team, and Eric Davis. I mean, he was as close to a superstar on that team as you can get, but there was 9 guys out there that you didn't know who was going to contribute that game.
Right.
And I mean, and that was special. And it was, and like I said, it was so special that 25 years later, for me, I walked into the room where we're having all the guys gathered to have a 25-year reunion, and I walked in and I felt like the same rookie all over again. And I mean, we were 25 years after the fact.
Yeah, there's a meme that gets passed around on social media, and it's got the picture of the guys diving on each other out in Oakland after they won Game 4, and it lists all the things. The team didn't have a guy with 200 hits, didn't have a guy with 30 home runs, didn't have a guy with 100 RBI. I think their most wins was 15 or whatever, maybe not even a 15-game winner. Maybe it was like 13 or 14. And of course, Davis had 30-plus home runs a year or two earlier. Danny Jackson had gone 23 and 8, in 88. Like there were guys capable of these things, but that year, you're right. That year it was just a bunch of guys that worked together, wasn't it?
It really was, as you see me kind of like spell out what kind of team made that team, I start thinking about the bullpen we had in Atlanta.
Yeah,
with Smoltz as a closer, and everybody else. Nobody even knew who anybody was.
right.
And at the end of the year, we had one of the best bullpens in the history of baseball.
You sure did. Yeah. And we're going to get to that in a minute because I've got some things to ask you about that. And now in 91, you stayed with the big club. You made 18 starts. You appeared in 20 games, just under 100 innings. Tell me about that as a full season. Were you injured a little bit though? Because of, you didn't play in the minors, but you're still not playing every 5th day all year.
No, I mean it was probably I don't know what the reason was, but it was probably the biggest obstacle that I stepped over because I felt like I started to belong. I could pitch in the big leagues.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, I did everything I needed to do in the minor leagues. I mean, I was my Double-A year. I was 18-5 at the end of the year with a 1.6 ERA, and next year I was 15-1 in Nashville, and I'm thinking I don't belong in the minor leagues.
Yeah, what else is there?
And I mean, it takes a while to tell yourself that I belong in the big leagues, and that was a big step.
There was a comment on that Facebook post of the picture of you and Pete that the guy said that season in Nashville was the best he'd ever seen, in all the years of the Sounds and whatnot. So that's definitely, you were quite something in the minor leagues. Then 92, the Reds were actually really good in 92. And you start 26 games up to 147 innings. came down to the Braves late in the season, and back then you only got one per division, and there's no wild card back in the early '90s. Tell me a little bit about that year. It was a competitive season, and I just feel like that year, certainly in '91, a lot of the guys got hurt, right? Like the heroes in '90, just it didn't seem to work out
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about '92 as a team with the Reds.
Well, I mean, coming off the '90 season. I mean, and you roll into the '91 season with it was a big struggle. And when I look back, especially at that point in my career, I mean, everything's a blur. I mean, all I'm doing is looking over my shoulder to
Yeah.
making sure nobody's going to take my spot. And I mean, but I just went out every time and tried to get better and better, more comfortable and more comfortable, and not really getting all amped up on every. I'm looking for every opportunity from Tom Browning and Belcher and all those guys that have been there. I mean, how can I prepare for every start and not worry about anything? And but that's the bit. I mean, that's the. It's not a benefit. It's not a struggle. It's just how do you prepare without overthrowing and I
Mhm.
mean taking that deep breath and going, when am I gonna tell myself I belong here?
Yeah, it's a much lower level, but I coached my son's pony team. It's a rec team here, and he's in the 14U range. And like I'm standing in the dugout, and I was like, "Hey, just throw strikes." And I remember my wife telling me later, it's not that easy apparently, because we didn't have a lot of strike throwers this year on our team. But I'm like, the advice I can give is just throw strikes. Um, Obviously not that easy even at your level. Tell me a little bit though. You mentioned Larry Rothschild being a help for you. I'm assuming it was in that time frame. Talk about him a little bit and what that relationship is like between pitching coach and pitcher. And then, of course, we've already talked about Pete. Tell me a little bit about Lou Pinello as well, because he was the manager those 3 years.
I'll tell you about Lou real quick. I mean, the first thing that I heard from our pitching coach and really the veteran players is Lou doesn't like young players.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm thinking he come out to the mound. I mean, it wasn't any confidence building. It was like dogging.
Yeah.
And I mean, he would just air me out. I'm thinking, God, thanks for the confidence. And
Yeah.
but I mean, I had so many bad memories about Lou Piniella through that year that I mean, if if he would if he would have if I didn't have the guys Tom Browning and Norm Charlton and Dibble and all those guys, Greg Swindell, that kind of like don't even worry about him.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it, Stan Williams says, "Hey Ham, whatever he says on that mound when he comes out there, don't worry about it because he won't remember it the next day." And that was bad because he's like, man, he drank a lot. And I go, I mean, it was my relationship with Lou was so bad because I was a young player that when I played for the Yankees in 2003, what, 13 years later,
Mm-hmm.
me and my wife were walking in the tunnel at Tampa when he was the manager at Tampa.
Right.
And I heard Lou Pinella's voice and I stopped. I go, I'm not walking by him.
Oh
I
man.
don't even want to see him.
Yeah.
And he kept talking and kept talking. And I go, all right, we're going to walk to the edge of the tunnel, put your head down and just keep walking. And I kept walking, walking, walking. And all of a sudden I walked past him and he goes, Ham. I'm thinking, oh, shit.
Oh.
And I go, hey, Lou. And he walked up right up to me, grabbed both my shoulders. And he goes, Ham, I've been keeping up with you. I'm proud of you. Man, you've had a great career. I mean, you grew each year, and I'm proud of you. And he gave me a hug. I'm thinking
Wow.
that's what I needed.
Yeah.
because I mean I had a bad taste in my mouth from the 90 to the 91 season, and but getting back to Larry Rothschild and Marcel Latchman
Uh-huh.
were two staple points of my growth and trusting my pitches and pitching. And I know pretty much my success to those two guys. Not that they prepared me from right there, is taking what I had and standing out on the mound and knowing that I could do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's really amazing. Now, because you were put in with Latchman because I think it was March 27th of 93. So we're talking about the end of spring training. You get traded to the expansion Marlins. That had to be a bit of a shock coming at the end of spring training like that.
It was, and it's almost like I was defeated, and I'm thinking, and I mean, but it really turned out to be a blessing. I mean, the Marlins, they didn't care anything about it. They just wanted to for me to step in to be one of their staple starting pitchers,
Sure.
and I started out the year. Well, here's it was just an amazing story because I had probably the worst spring training that you could have, and all the uh, uh, coaches with the Marlins, they were like, we need to start him in the bullpen. And Marcel Latchman goes, he's one of my starters. He's going to start.
Yeah.
And I think it was, I don't know if it was the 93 season or the 94 season that my first game was pitching in Los Angeles. And I pitched 8 shutout innings in my first start. And
Yeah.
that's Marcel Latchman. He goes, I told you.
That's right.
And
Well,
that was like a push forward that
sure.
I needed. Hey, I tell parents, I don't care what level, pitching is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst thing you can do is let your son or daughter hear that you're throw strikes, let's go. They don't need to hear that. Be their biggest cheerleader, because
Absolutely.
once they get in that zone in that tunnel vision, when they're throwing strikes and they can hear your encouragement, becomes a lot easier.
I had a time this year when we had here in Ohio, it gets a little humid, not like down there, but it gets humid and hot. And the
Oh,
first,
it gets hot up there.
yeah, the first thing of it is you end up seeing all the mosquitoes and all the bugs and stuff start coming out, and uh, so some of these parents and kids right around the dugout had sprayed bug spray, and that's all I'm breathing in. And my pitcher had a rough first inning, and I go out to the mound and I was like, "Hey, I want to come out here to get away from that dugout, man. It smells like bug spray, and I just want to come out here and chat with you for a minute, like try to take their minds off of it." But no, 32 starts that first year in Florida. That's awesome. And then the next year, the strike shortened year, you had a 3.07 ERA as a starter. That's getting it done right there. So that's awesome. I wanted to jump forward just a little bit. You pitched throughout the 90s here there, but you didn't pitch in 99 and 2000 at all. Tell me a little bit about that stretch, if you could encapsulate the mid 90s to 2000 and what was going on.
Well, after the 96 season, the Marlins wanted for me to move from a starter to a lefty out of the bullpen. And at that point, I thought going to the bullpen was a demotion.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm not pitching out of the bullpen. I mean, and they were like, well, and so I became a free agent, signed with the Red Sox as a starter. All my incentives was a starter,
Mm-hmm.
and they threw me right in the bullpen. And I go, if you're going to pitch me out of the bullpen, redo my contract, give me incentives out of the bullpen. So then they go, no, we're just going to leave it as it is. And I'm thinking, oh, really?
Hmm.
So I had a bad taste in my mouth the whole first half of the season. And around the All-Star break, I had a like tenderness in my elbow, and I had an MRI, and there was a big bone spur on the tip of my elbow. And they go, well, at the end of the season, we'll get it taken care of. I go, no, I think I want to get it done now. So I went to Andrews, and then so I go, my season's over. And when I came back, I go, I mean, I don't even like playing baseball anymore.
Hmm.
And so I signed with the Marlins again and pitched a little bit, and I go, I think I'm done.
Okay.
So I retired. Never threw my glove in, put all my cleats away in the attic, and me and my wife the next year came around, and we were deciding on what we wanted to do as a job, and we were like, maybe build a restaurant in our little country town that we lived in. And the guy goes, the guy was kind of helping us. He goes, "What's wrong with your arm? I mean, if you're looking at what you're going to do for money, I mean, you're left-handed." And my wife goes, "We have 3 kids now, and they've never seen you pitch."
Yeah.
And I go, if we want to watch my kids see me pitch, I mean, I'll get my arm back in shape. But let's just go down there and have fun.
Sure.
So I got my arm back in shape, and Cleveland signed me, and I mean, I started pitching for Cleveland, and here's the sad thing about it. I was pitching out of the bullpen, and I talked to my agent, and I go, all right, what's the quickest way back to the big leagues? And he goes, a lefty bullpen guy. I go, that's what I want to do. So I went into that season. I don't even care about starting. I'm gonna pitch as a lefty out of the bullpen, and probably around the All-Star halfway season with the minor leagues in AAA with Cleveland, my ERA was about 1.9, having a great season, and I never even thought about going to the big leagues. And then we were sitting out in the bullpen, and some guy goes, "Hey, you think you're going to called up?" I go, "I don't know." And one of my David Risky, he's been up and down with Cleveland. He goes, "You won't ever get called up with Cleveland. You don't throw hard enough."
Yeah.
And I was throwing about 86, and I started thinking, man, if I don't have a chance, what am I doing here?
Right.
So I asked my agent. They see me getting called up, and they're like, "No, they don't see anything anytime soon." I go, "Oh, I want my release." And he goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah. If I don't get a chance, I mean, if I don't have I got a 1.9 ERA." And 2 days later, they released me, and then the very next day, Atlanta goes, "We don't care how hard you throw. You're going to pitch out of our bullpen."
Right. And
So I went to Richmond, finished the year there, did great. Next year, Bobby Cox invited me to spring training, and he goes, "Ham, we know you can pitch,"
sure.
and the rest is history. That season, I had a .95 ERA.
You did 76 innings out of the bullpen. And this is where kind of as a fan, I kind of like start taking notice because I don't even know that I knew you'd pitched for the Cleveland organization the year before. But again, I'm a kid loving baseball when you came up, and initially I had your baseball cards, all that stuff. So I knew who you were. I followed you, and all of a sudden you show up in Atlanta on those great teams. That's during that huge stretch, right? The 17 division titles, that kind of thing. And here you are, just unstoppable. I remember I was just out of college at that point. I'm like, oh my goodness, he's doing this. I guess you had to just be thrilled with the way that season went. And like you said,
I mean,
that's when
but
they had faults in the bullpen. But
it was unbelievable because I mean Bobby Cox told me I made their bullpen, and he says we're going to go with like 4 starters to start out with, and then after 2 weeks we're going to bring a starter in, and then maybe get rid of a bullpen guy. And so my very first outing, I gave up a 3-run homer, and I'm thinking,
you could watch it going,
I know, I'm thinking, and I'm driving home that night. I got to pitch every game like it's going to be my last.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from the last guy on the bullpen to pitching every extra inning, to pitch in the 5th inning, to pitch in the 6th inning, to pitch in the 7th inning, to setting up Smoltz at the end of the year. I'm
Yeah.
thinking, are you kidding me?
That's amazing.
I gave up a 3-run homer my first outing, and then I pitched 75 innings and we gave up 5 runs.
Yeah, and then you're on the 03 Yankees that go to the World Series. I mean,
Yeah.
At some point in those couple years there, you've almost got to be like, just pinch me. I can't, because you'd walked away. You didn't play for 2 full seasons.
I know, and here's my advice to any pitcher out there. I go, the best career in the world is to be the best setup guy that you can be,
Yeah.
and nobody know who you are.
Yeah, it's like the backup quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can pitch 20 years in the major leagues and be the best setup guy. And in today's generation, you can make millions and nobody know who you are.
I think of
That's the perfect career.
Yeah, like Scott Sullivan for the Reds at one point.
Yeah.
Gabe White, guys like that. Yeah. Boy, it's amazing. You did come back with the Reds your last year there and kind of bookended your career.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. So was that 06, I think?
06, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good team.
It was a pretty good team. I mean, it's kind of like the team they've had in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
It's inconsistency.
Sure.
I mean, just like the Braves now. I mean, they scored 13 runs and they get shut out. Scored 7 runs and they get. I mean, it's just like this up and down. I mean, you can't win. I mean, you're going to have a hard time making it to the World Series playing 500 ball.
That's right. And it's this season we do a show every week. Actually, our network has 2, and it's been this roller coaster. And we've joked because it's a Sunday night show and then a show that comes out on Friday. And the joke is from week to week, sometimes the Friday show is the one we're excited, right? But by the end of the weekend, the Sunday night show, they're all down.
I know.
It's like, this is crazy. I was actually in Atlanta earlier in May, and that was the Reds played the Braves, and it was a tight game and all that. But it was just like, yeah, there's just no consistency of that. And that 06 team, though, was upsetting as a fan because I think the Cardinals only won 83 games. They were a couple games ahead of the Reds at the end of the regular season, and the Cardinals win the World Series, only 83 wins. And I think that's the year that they trade Austin Kearns and Felipe Lopez to the Nats.
Yeah.
And that was we still talk about that trade as Reds fans. That was a tough decision to make there.
Well, to me, that's just baseball, and but it was special to end my career and start my career in Cincinnati because I met my wife in Cincinnati. She's a Cincinnati Reds girl, and to be able to go back to Cincinnati and to experience everything and look back at, like you said, full circle and going. I mean, it was awesome.
That is awesome. That's just, I was really excited, obviously, like I said, to have that come about when I was at that time. Now, I'm going to get you out on this. I'm going to incorporate you into this. Every show, every Friday, we have a viewer mail segment where people who watch or listen to the show, they'll send in questions. I'm going to joke with the folks out there. I think this week they're on an all-star break as well because I really didn't get very many.
Yeah.
But the one I'm going to read, it's going to tie into something I haven't asked you about yet. Our friend Brandon Kamick says, what are your thoughts on 2027? I don't buy into the narrative that we should assume a work stoppage affects the entire season, but clearly concessions are going to have to be made. And what he's talking about is the looming possible work stoppage because of the collective bargaining. First of all, my answer to that, before I want to talk with you a little bit about living and playing through these work stoppages. In 2002, late in the season, the deal was about to end. And that was the last year of Riverfront Stadium, Synergy Field, as they called it later.
Mm-hmm.
I attended a game it was like one of those Thursday day games, the business special or whatever. I attended a game where they punched a little hole in the ticket, but they didn't rip it because they said if they don't get this deal done, and I clearly remember Tom Glavine being a huge part of things.
Mm-hmm.
They said if they don't get this deal done, this could be the last game of Riverfront Stadium because we might not play the last month and a half of the season because there might be a strike. And again, I didn't live through 81 because I was 2 years old, but I heard all the stories about the split season when the Reds actually had the best overall record but didn't go to the playoffs. I remember 90 when they started late because of a work stoppage, just 9 games or so. And then well, they played the full season, but they started late. And then 94, 95, obviously. So
Mm.
by 2002, as fans, we're just kind of like living as if, well, these work stoppages are always going to happen. Now, there hasn't been another one. So I guess I'd ask you, what are your thoughts on A, the possibility there is one, but then B, what you remember about, especially that one in 94 that caused the World Series to be canceled?
Well, I think back in the 80s and maybe a little bit in the 90s and especially 94, to me, that's when baseball was baseball.
Right.
I mean, the players hung out with the fans after the game. We go to the like a sports bar and watch Sports Center and just hang out. I mean, I love being around the fans. And but what that 94 um, strike did to the momentum of where baseball was going.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was bad.
Sure.
And from that point on, I mean, I've talked to countless fans that they're like, man, I gave up on it.
Mm-hmm.
And little by little, you kind of earn their excitement. They want to be a fan again. And then all of a sudden, we almost had it again, you even lost a little bit of fan base then.
Sure.
And now where the salaries are, I mean, I'm hopefully I'm wrong about this, but I don't see too much fan player interaction
Yeah.
away from the field where we are now, where the salaries are. I I, I mean, NBA is going down to attendance because salaries. You pay them that much, the ticket cost is so high. I mean, I don't know. I think a stoppage would be horrific
Mm-hmm.
for MLB, for NBA, for NFL, for NHL. I mean, I don't know. I'm scared I'm scared for where MLB is because of the salaries.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, I will tell you this though, and maybe I'm just kind of putting blinders on.
Yeah,
10 years ago or so, if a guy signed a big contract and things didn't go well right away, all you heard about was his salary.
yeah.
And maybe it still happens. I know, like Juan Soto had a bit of a slow start this year, and I'm sure in New York people talked about how much he was making, but I don't see it quite as much. I think we've gotten a little more used to that, as fans. Now, if they strike, and that's where, do you really want to take the side of a billionaire owner over a bunch of millionaire players? Like those are different discussions.
Mhm.
I feel like we've become more used to how much money they're making now. So maybe to me it's not quite as big a deal. But to your point earlier, in 95, I actually went to my first opening day in Cincinnati, and it was late. It was April 26th because of the strike, and they played only you played in only 144 games that year,
Mhm.
instead of 162. Riverfront Stadium was not near full, and you know how opening day is in Cincinnati. That was 95. I went to a playoff game against the Braves later that year. Riverfront Stadium was not full. So that's, to your point, trust had to be brought back, right? I mean, it took Cal Ripken. It took the home run chase in 98. It takes all these things, and you just don't know that baseball can afford to have something like that happen again.
I can't. I mean, to me, if it wasn't for the McGuire Sosa
Right.
home run thing, I mean, that's what to me what brought the excitement of loving baseball again
Yeah.
back to where it should be. And I'm just saying. I mean, I I'll never get used to the salaries where they're at now. And
Okay.
and I feel like when the more the bigger the bank account people get, the it puts the fire out. And I mean, and hopefully I'm wrong, but I mean, if there's a work stoppage, and I go to a number of Atlanta Braves games because I do a lot of things with the Braves now, and I go to a game and I see how much a hot dog costs, or
Yeah.
a bottle of water, or a draft beer, or a thing of nachos or popcorn, and I'm thinking, the fans pay that?
Mm-hmm.
Can you bring your family out here?
Right.
I mean, that's like going to Disney World. And I go, if a work stoppage happens, I mean, and it's a whole year, I'm thinking I'm not going back to a game.
Yeah, I think you're right. That could be pretty quick there. Well, my hope is obviously they can fix it, but I guess the reason I brought up '02 and then the mid '90s is we've gotten kind of used to now 30 years now without any work stoppages.
Yeah.
There were lockout before, before spring training, things like that, but nothing where games were missed, right? So
And I wish they would bring back stuff, and I know it's up to the players, but when you look at how much most of the top players on each team make, and then you ask them, hey, you think you can come to this little cookout and meet some fans, and they're going to go, no,
yeah,
and they're going to find me. I
right.
mean, you can find somebody $1 million and it means nothing.
Nothing. That's true.
Are you kidding me? I mean, to me, I mean, not everybody, but most players care less about the fans. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I mean,
Yeah,
I'm just looking at it. I mean, hopefully
sure.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, interactions are definitely different. I think social media, some of the players take advantage of that, and where it's not quite as face to face, but maybe they allow people to see their personalities and things like that a little
No,
different.
but hey, that's not the same as like me and you meeting somewhere for lunch, or what. I
Yeah,
don't
you're
know. I don't know when that time is, but you can't. I mean, I know it's hard. We're living in, and it's just a hard, different time of baseball and football
sure.
and sports because the salaries are so big.
Yeah, the stories we've had on this show a few times of back at Crosley Field, like the last game of the
Yeah,
season, players would literally go into the stands and give away, prize
exactly,
packs and things like that,
exactly.
and they're in the stands. Yeah, you never see that again, that's for sure. Well, Chris, let me get you out of here on this. Tell me a little bit about what you're up to these days.
Well, I run a youth foundation, the Chris Hammond Youth Foundation. We help kids throughout the South get excited about sports,
Mm,
and that's our first objective. And anything other than that, we help them in better preparing for what life has to offer. That's what the Chris Hammond Youth Foundation does. And I I work for an online health and wellness company called Live Pure. Um, Phil Knight it became the biggest investor in that in this company, and it's kind of like a Amazon of all natural products.
okay.
Whatever you're dealing with, we have a regimen for it. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook every morning to do my Bible study. Um, I feel like today's churches are being misled. I feel like everybody likes to go to church, but when church is over, Jesus is over. So I do my Bible study on Facebook every morning, and just challenge the churchgoers to look at themselves in the mirror and ask them, where does Jesus rank in my life? So that's what I do every day.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you a little bit, and I really appreciate you. And hey, you can tell your daughter there's a lot of folks out here who remember Chris Hammond, the baseball player. That's for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate your help on that.
Well, hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. The All-Star Week brought us the opportunity to kind of get away from the ups and downs of the Reds season. We'll be back talking about that with Late Night Reds Sunday night. And then next week, the Riverfront Reds Show will be talking about the resumption of play, the hope that the Reds will trade for a bat or two in the outfield. That'd be great. Maybe Chris Hammond could come play right field for the Reds for a little bit. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and have a good weekend.